Hello, everyone. This year's main astrological feature is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and I'm almost sure that you have watched a number of videos already on the subject. This is going to be a karmic astrological outlook on it. So let's take a quick look first on the archetypes. And if you look at Jupiter, of course, we say that this is the major lock, Photon major, and it usually depicts expansion, optimism, enthusiasm, and growth. I always say that Jupiter enlarges everything it touches, unfortunately, even the bad stuff. If you look back on the triple conjunction of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn way back in 2020, and later on you assess the results, you will see what I mean. Because on the one hand, Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions represent an era, so there was a new era starting. It's usually a 20-year span era, and it's not always bringing brand new things, but every 20 years, the two destiny planets try to restore some sort of order or balance in the world, like a reset. And yes, if you remember, then the World Economic Forum started to advertise the global reset idea, that they wanted to reset us into oblivion, really, and poverty. It didn't happen exactly the way they hoped for, but still, this was one of the features that appeared there. And with Jupiter Pluto, it's one of the aspect that we call super success, simply because Jupiter enlarges everything it touches, and Pluto is a very eager planet. Nothing is ever enough for Pluto. So the combination is bringing a lot of success energy. And then the Saturn Pluto combination is usually it usually denotes losses. And the three, what happened, instead of bringing big luck and big success, instead there was the COVID and then the wars and all kinds of economic collapse, if you look around, and madness. So actually the Saturn Pluto energy was enlarged by Jupiter. That's the problem. So we could never be 100% sure how Jupiter is going to work in a mundane moment. And if you look at Zeus, of course, Zeus, Jupiter, Zeus in Greek and Jupiter in Roman mythology, he is the chief god. He is the masculine macho who is always right, who, if you don't agree with him, he's going to strike you with his lightning, because Jupiter means lightning, thunderbolt. And if you go back to any era, and if you have been to in a large storm, it is really, I love storms, but it could be quite scary. And if you pay attention, the thunder and then the lightning actually really behaves like a huge god up there that is going to punish us. So it could be quite scary. On the other hand, Uranus, Uranus was Gaia's first son, and he's the sky god, and he brings sudden change, chaos, anarchy. It also is linked to strong freedom urges and flashes of inspiration. Of course, it is the higher octave of Mercury. And while Mercury is the regular, normal communication and discourse and thinking, Uranus provides flashes of inspiration and understanding, but also chaos and anarchy, and also a very strong freedom urge that I no longer want to be in a confined or bondaged situation. So that's Uranus. And here's the Jupiter-Uranus timeline, the conjunction timeline. It occurs every 14 years. And here are the last four dates, and it usually occurs once. It sometimes occurs in a lasso transit 3 times, never 5 times. I've never seen any Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that occurred 5 times. It's usually just once. And here are the approximate degrees. Not really approximate. I should anyhow. In 1997, it was in Aquarius. 1983, it was in Sagittarius. 1968, it was in Libra. 1954, it was in Cancer. If you are older than 19, so we were born older than previously, there are still a couple of more dates that you can research. And what's important from our point of view, the fact is that this is in Taurus, the sign of Venus. And the last time it occurred was in 1941 at 25, 26 degrees Taurus. And the previous one was in 1858, so almost 100 years, 80 years, 85 years earlier. And it was an anaretic conjunction at the very, very end of Taurus. And all kinds of events that should have been breakthrough and should have come to the light and should have been game changers kind of remained under cover. So that's a fascinating fact of this conjunction, this anaretic conjunction 2 centuries earlier. And the next one will occur in 2107. So we are not going to be there, maybe in another incarnation. So here are the main Jupiter-Uranus themes. Sudden breakthroughs, political, moral, religious, or social. So all kinds of fields could experience some sort of breakthrough, which hasn't been there before. So it was like coming out of the blue. Major breakthroughs and iconic shifts in how we do things in arts and music. If you go back to those dates and see what happened in the film or in the music industry, you will see that there's always one movie that has changed the whole course of the whole industry, actually. And also the same can be detected in music. Lucky and redemptive turning points in history and in our own lives. And hope, light, and progress suddenly appears out of the blue. It often feels like an epiphany or a prophetic event. So something that we prophesized a couple of years or 10 years earlier, someone said something that this is going to happen, and boom, all of a sudden, yes, it happens. And then you have this aha, this deja vu feeling. There's also all kinds of events that produce progress. So progress is a very strong word for Jupiter-Uranus. And unfortunately, progress is becoming a very negative term because progress lately became crazy. So if you take a look at liberals 100 years ago, they were fighting for very noble causes, things that we really wanted. And when all these causes kind of materialized almost everywhere, but especially in Europe and in North America, all of a sudden liberals didn't have job to do. And so they adopted all kinds of really, really crazy, totally alien ideas that unnatural and inhuman, sorry. So in a way, I'm just hoping that this Jupiter-Uranus will reverse the craziness that is now prevailing everywhere that you see. The general public may become more broad-minded, accepting, and tolerant. That's something interesting, and we need to address this from the viewpoint of what the role of the press is. Legacy media always sets trends. And if you can read 1,000 articles on this or that subject, after a while, it becomes prominent in how the people think. So this is really media induced, this kind of tolerance and broad-mindedness. Something that we did not, okay, I once read a wonderful, really, really wonderful short story. I don't remember, I'm really, I feel ashamed. It was an American modern short story writer. I should research this. And what happened was two people were talking, and two women, and one woman was telling horrible things to the other, what she did, incest and murder and things like that. And the other person, and the way it started was like minor things, like this, that, whatever. And the other person was just agreeing and agreeing and finally agreeing to the most horrible things. It was wonderful. And this is exactly what the legacy media is doing to us, that they are just putting drop after drop the poison, and we don't understand when the turn happened, and suddenly we accept everything. Also, sudden advancements in technology, that will be brilliant. In this crazy age of green technology, new Green Deal, which is completely ruining not just the economy, but people's lives as well. Think about it. The German chancellor just went to beg the Chinese for help because his complete industry is ruined, which is ridiculous, which is the main industry in Europe. So we are we are screwed. Excuse my language, but that's how it looks like. Also, cultural expansion occurs. This could be okay. A sudden, rapid, accelerated growth can be detected. I'm hoping for that, definitely. On the personal level, it's often associated with an event which helps letting go of a burden or laying down a cross. This is very important. It actually it provides some sort of liberation and release from bondage, from either physical or mental or emotional or even karmic. So from a karmic point of view, it is often the how you can break through a karmic pattern and how a brand new pattern may emerge, which would not have been possible before. So Jupiter-Uranus produces events or chances that 10 minutes earlier was not possible, which is great. But let's take a look at the historical examples and also the negative impacts, because there are some negative impacts, of course. So if we take a look at the historical examples and the collective events, one is always prominent, that a tide is turning. Major trends all of a sudden get a hold and turn around. And if you take a look at the last 10, 14 years, then you will detect that the total craziness of the woke ideology and the green ideology and all kinds of inhuman and anti-human attitudes. Let's save the planet. Let's kill off all the people. Oh, really? And who do you want to save the planet for? So that's what I'm hinting at, on all kinds of radical leftist ideas that people are beaten up in the streets just because they dress differently and all kinds of things. This hopefully will end. So hopefully this kind of tide will be turning. Something redeeming appears on the horizon. Humankind badly needs it. A stroke of grace, we are waiting for it. Very funny how young people don't understand the concept of grace. I'm amazed, totally shocked. Even among my own students here in Budapest, I need to sit down with them and tell them what grace means, especially God's grace. They don't understand. And they don't know that this is possible. And sudden discoveries appear that prove to be game-changing, that this is something, again, that we are waiting for, because all kinds of new technologies at the moment are really failures. Even if you look at electric cars, even if you look at all kinds of these wind turbines and even the solar panels, this is all bull. It costs more than the normal things. But it's a lot more polluting. It's just bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's what it is. So we do need some sort of game changing in the hysterical physics. That's how I call it, because it's hysteric physics, really, what's happening now. They don't really care for anything. The other day, there was a wonderful moment in the European Parliament when one of the scientists, who is a nature scientist, of course, asked the members of the parliament what they thought the percentage of carbohydrate in the air is, in the atmosphere is. And we learned by these very, very smart idiots, oh, 3%, I would say 5%. Well, 7 is my favorite number, so let's say 7%. And turns out it's 0.03%. That's the average. At the moment, it's 0.02%. 0.04%. That's what the scientist said. So it's actually just a tiny, tiny, tiny growth. But this is what he said. If it goes down below 0.02%, we will die because plants will die because plants need carbohydrate to produce oxygen. And you should have seen the faces of these idiots in the European Parliament. The whole thing is like a monkey cage, really. Okay, anyhow, so yes, we are waiting for something. But okay, there are some negative and destabilizing impacts as well with Jupiter Uranus. For instance, the economic markets, the stock markets, could become quite volatile. Just the other day, the Dow Jones lost 700 points, something crazy. Rebellious and extremist activities become more prominent. Revolutionaries become bolder and more risk-taking. That's what you see all the time, yes. Think about how people are revolting against stupid ideas and all kinds of rules and regulations that are very anti-human and anti-common sense. But also authorities are more willing to adopt lawless tactics and moves. They no longer seem to care even to keep appearances of fairness and democracy. That happened just yesterday in Brussels when they didn't allow a gathering for they call them, I mean, the official verdict was extreme right or something like that. No, they are just not socialist and not liberal leaders of Europe, and also coming from from the United States, a couple of speakers, and it was a closed thing, not in the streets, but of course the Antifa was Antifa members were revolting against it, and they were holding demonstrations, and the whole thing got shut down temporary because I heard that now they are reopening it. I'm recording this on Wednesday, the 17th. So let's hope that they are going to reopen it. But that's ridiculous. Anyhow, this is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. The exact moment for London is on April 21st at 3:28 a.m. So in the very small hours, you don't want to wake up at that moment. Hopefully everyone will be sleeping. We will have an Aquarius rising. So actually Uranus is the third ruler, which is enlarged by Jupiter. So it's a very decisive moment. On the midheaven, you have the two strong independent women in retrograde motion, Lilith, revolt against injustice, and Pallas Athena, wisdom, the goddess of wisdom. There's this traffic jam in Aries. Mercury retrograde is conjunct the North Node. Understand what you have to fight for. Venus Chiron conjunctions are about love hurts, but love needs to be redeeming and healing. And in the mundane sense, Jupiter Chiron is always about making a lot of money, and Venus Chiron is the smaller version of it. And if you look around at the moment, all the old weaponry was pushed upon the lap of the Ukrainians, and now everyone is ordering new weapons. So it's a really big business. We are making business of wounds, or this business is creating new wounds. So that's really it. And the sun is already in Taurus, and it will reach the Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions degree in about 15 days or so. We are going to look at that moment because from now on, for the next 14 years, every time something accesses the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, it will activate it. And the first time it will happen when the sun reaches this moment. And then we have the again two strong women, Juno, the First Lady, and Trans-Pluto, another First Lady really, but it's more linked to channeling and dimension jump. And the Liliths are quite prominent again in this chart. Is again, asteroid Lilith is on the midheaven, revolt against injustice. Dark Moon Lilith is about the acceptance of the curse, and Black Moon Lilith is about the fact that I go back there and I will do what's necessary. So I have the knowledge and I also have the courage to do it. And what's interesting, in the exact space-time moment, the moon is at the very end of Virgo, aligned with the supergalactic center. In the karmic astrology, this is one of the main key celestial areas. All these areas are linked to karmic dilemmas. And in this particular case, the karmic dilemma is nothing is ever enough. So we will live in interesting times, as the biggest Chinese curse goes. Okay. There are not too many, but a couple of configurations in this complex planetary picture. Someone started to the lawn, so I apologize. Probably it will go into the recording, but I can't do anything about it, and I don't have time to re-record it. So I'm trying to put this closer. Maybe this way. It's not going to be too strong. Anyhow, so there is an Earth water kite. If you take a look at it, and this is there no matter where you live, and it involves the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Mars is at the anchor point of it. Ceres, the nurturing principle, but also your homeland and your family, and the two Liliths on the other side of this Earth grand trine, and as Mars is in Pisces, giving you the necessary boost of this Earth grand trine, because Earth is very dry without water. So it's Mars that is giving it some water, some emotions. Mars is not very happy in Pisces. Of course, it's a mishy-mushy Mars, hiding kind of behind the smoke screen, but still, it's now the anchor point. So try to assess and assert what's yours. There's also a cardinal T-square, which is a bit too wide for my taste, because Australia is only at 17.5 degrees. But still, it could be utilized. The apex of this cardinal T-square is the Chiron-Venus conjunction. And there's again Ceres and Astrea involved. And Astrea is the karma breaker, the destiny changer. And this is exactly what we could utilize, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. We badly need a game changer here in Europe, something really revolutionary and big, and from a karmic viewpoint, karma breaking facilities. And there's also a cardinal Earth engine with the same participants, the Venus, Chiron, Ceres, and Dark Moon, Black Moon. There are a few transcendental celestial objects. This is not the this is coming from the Hungarian version, where we had the ascendant descendant. Sorry about that. Again, I have very little time to produce this. Anyhow, on Mars, you have Teharon Hiabako. This is an interesting TNO. It is linked to a myth in South American Indian mythology, where Teharon Hiabako all of a sudden comes out of the sea, the ocean, and gives the Indians all kinds of technologies, how to do agriculture, how to produce food. And from then on, they are trying to produce food instead of actually just hunting and gathering. So it's going to be a very hard work, but at the same time, food will be more available and more predictable. And that's exactly what's happening. But this is what we are waiting for. So we are waiting for a new era, which may be harder, but more predictable and more secure. On Venus Chiron, you have Aesculapia, the healing caves of Asclepius, and Paradise. Let's hope we are producing something. Let's hope this is not in the true sense that we are not going to bomb out from the Earth and into Paradise, just hopefully. On the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction with Pandora, so we may open something horrible, open up where all the trials and tribulations of mankind are coming out. Ramses, the pharaoh, actually the dynasty of pharaohs who are on a very, very high level in Egyptian history. And Lempo, which is a very interesting TNO, It is linked to, well, actually, it comes from Finnish mythology. He was the creator god for the Finns, and he was the father of Wainamoinen. You may know the epic poetry of the Finns. It's a major one. And then later on in the Christian times, Lempo becomes the devil, a dark, horrible figure. And it represents the shift in ideology and in religion when the previous set of gods become terrorized or become demonized, and because the new era needs a different god, a different ideology. And this is exactly what I'm hoping for, and I really, really hope that this woke ideology will get into the garbage where it belongs to. On Astrea, we have Apollo, the sun god. On the dark moon, black moon conjunction, we have Sophia, wisdom, Taurus, which is a centaur who is hunting for bears, but doesn't kill them, only takes them into his cave and tries to tame them. And Taurus is linked to the taming of your instinctual levels, of your subconscious levels. And Denebola, which is the Delta Leo, is the tail of the celestial lion. And the whole constellation Leo is about ruling and kingship and the emperor, how we are exercising power. And Denebola is the instinctual levels of power. And on Ceres, you have Electra, and Electra is linked to the Cretan mythology, and she's a figure. She can actually get everyone. She manipulates everyone to do what she wants. So it's a very manipulative figure. But in karmic astrology, what we say about her is that when you have Electra prominent in your chart, you are able to push the threads and do and make people do things. And now this is what we need, because for our home, for our country, for our family, for our own security, we need to push, even if this means that we are using all kinds of ulterior motives. No, our motives are clear and very just, but the weapons or the tools we are using might be manipulative. So that's the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction from a karmic viewpoint. We will tackle and we will revisit the topic every time from now on, whenever something accesses the Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions degree in Taurus. And of course, in Taurus, it occurs in Taurus. So our well-being, our harmony, our security, our money-making and harmony-producing abilities will be affected by it. Happy Jupiter-Uranus. Use it for your own level. Try to access it in a way that you can break free from old embedded debilitating karmic issues and renew yourself. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.